Ho, 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 cheeky monkeys.
Get on with it.
Toppy.
It's Bergkamp.
Hashtag fuck Ellis.
That's magnificent.
Hello, Geoff.
Up and down.
Well done. Bye-bye.
Be like the Arsenal. Be ambitious. Come on.
Hello, dear viewer and listener, and welcome to Bergkamp Wonderland, an Arsenal podcast. With me tonight, it's John. You all right, Johnny boy? You've muted yourself. Great start, eh?
Yeah, great start. I don't... Look, let's not talk about that. It's fine. We'll move on. Everyone knows I'm a pro. I can only do the live shows. Pre-recorded, I'm useless.
It's like Josh at the weekend. How many times I had to edit out, or for people who listen on the podcast, you'll have no idea, but I had to keep editing out all the times when Josh was talking and muted himself.
You know what it was? I was in another window and I was like, hang on a minute, where's the window with the chatting? I can't find the mute button.
Oh, dear.
It's this new technology, Danny. I don't know what I'm doing. Other than that, I'm great, mate. I'm great.
It's your first podcast of the season, so
It is my
it's good
first
to
one of
have
the
you.
season.
Also, for his first podcast of the season, it's only Geoff Arsenal, the man, the myth, the legend. You all right, Geoff?
Daniel, where the devil are you?
Oh, yeah, for the listeners, and if they're watching, that's what I had for dinner. I'm living the high life.
King pot noodle. Was it chicken and mushroom?
Oh, of course, that's the king of pot noodles.
I'm surprised you ain't gone vegan already, Danny. Huh?
I eat vegans. I put them on the barbecue. A few
For
chips.
breakfast.
Oh, yum yum! No, I had 3 for breakfast. A little bit of Cravendale milk. Oh, they splash about, but they love it. Already, we're off track. While I've got your ear, Geoff. So, how did you think? How do you feel about the Newcastle game and the Burnley game and our start to the season in general?
2 fantastic wins, isn't it? 6 points out of 6, mate. You couldn't ask for more than that. A lot better than it was this time last season when we was 6 down already. I think that was 2 good performances. You couldn't really ask for a lot more. A few new faces in there. I like the way he has integrated the young kids in. Obviously, we've bought some terrific players. With no doubt talk about Ceballos as we go along. But,
Whose name every one of us is going to say 6 different ways during the show.
Yes, Ceballos. I've got on good authority it's Ceballos and David Luiz is Luiz.
Oh, look
Allegedly. Apparently from some Brazilians anyway. They call it Luiz, not Luiz or Luis.
David.
But I mean, you're the man for pronunciations, aren't you, Dan? You know that, the legend.
Oh, yeah.
But brilliant. You know, I think we done really, really well in both games. Newcastle is always, you know, these early games.
Yeah.
They're a good chance for these smaller type sides to nick points when you know the top players are not at their, not running. They should be, take this right, exactly. So they've got a really good chance of sniping and getting a couple of points. But I think we've done really, really well at Newcastle and the home game. I was really impressed. I was more impressed with the home game than the away game at Newcastle, definitely.
It's been the first time, I can't remember when they gave the date, but it's been the first time in many, many years that we've won our first 2 league games of the season.
10 years, I think I read somewhere.
I think it was something like that. And Newcastle, although Newcastle they're going to go down this season, Newcastle still got some decent players, and going to their stadium isn't as the easiest away game, is it? Because their fans are amazing.
Well, you get all these when the big sides go to these small clubs. You know, I know Newcastle are not a small club; they're huge, really, in support and everything else. But you know, for success, they're not very big. They've won nothing for 60, 70 years or something. But they're always again, you know, like the underdog always gets up against one of the so-called top sides, and that's why it's a fantastic 6 points, mate. Because you know, I was a little bit concerned that there could be a banana skin in either of those games. I knew the Burnley game was going to be a bit tough because the way Sean Dyche sets them up, you know for sure that they're always going to be physical. They're always going to be on the money, fitness wise. But how they're going to fall down is the technical ability. And I think we controlled the game, didn't we? Overall, I think we controlled the game, give them a few chances. I was so disappointed when they scored because I don't think they deserved it, Burnley. We should have got a couple of more goals, shouldn't we, really? But, you know, overall, I think we really played well. So
from those first 2 games, what players have stood out for you?
Ceballos, let's talk about him for a minute. Unbelievable. I've not seen a lad boss a game like that since the days of Santi when he came in, and Fabregas and players like, I'm not putting him in their class, of course. He's too young, but I'm really encouraged by it being such a young lad. First competitive game at a new club, big stadium. The way he had the confidence, he really just grabbed hold of the game, didn't he? You know, and that's so. And his quality on the ball was so fitting for being a Barcelona player. You can see the quality. It's all about ball work. He was never ever under pressure, and hopefully he can carry that on. I mean, these young players sometimes they do have a honeymoon period where they have 3 or 4, 5 good games, and then they drop off a little bit. Hopefully, the lad's got the quality to carry it on. And I'm not sure. I've not looked into it. I've not heard anything. But at the moment, I'm hoping that they have got a buy clause lodged in there somewhere, a reasonable figure. So if he does continue, we've got some kind of deal in place. Because if he carries on the way he is, and we haven't got no option to buy, someone like United or Liverpool will be straight in for him at the end of the season, because he's a quality player, that kid.
Exactly. And before anybody tweets you, you do know he's from Real Madrid. Before anybody points out.
I beg your pardon. Yeah,
the last one was from Barcelona.
Slip of the tongue, mate.
Yes, before they question you, because they would be silly to do such a silly thing. Right, John, what's your thoughts on the first 2 games of the season?
I mean, much the same as Geoff, really. You can't ask them for anything more than the 6 points. I think, you know, what you highlighted there about the first couple of games, it's so easy to drop points there because nobody's really fully fit yet, like 100% match fit, especially when you've got players, when you're at a club like Arsenal, because you have so many internationals. They've got, you know, you've got African Cup of Nations tournaments, you've got pre-season tournaments and stuff. And I think there was a quote not so long ago about Klopp and Guardiola both said it, that basically the first 2-3 weeks of the season is still pre-season, really, for their teams, because you're not building up to speed enough, because the players just don't get any breaks anymore. They just don't get enough time off. So everyone's still finding their feet. The first game he had, well, a ragtag team, but he had to risk a couple youngsters who I thought did really well. Newcastle was a tough place to go, so getting a result there, that's great. The home game to Burnley, yeah, again, I thought Chambers a little bit unlucky not to start it, but other than that, the youngsters got the vote of confidence again. As Geoff already said, Dani was superb, the young kid from Madrid.
You took the easy way out, didn't you?
Well, yeah, Ceballos. I don't know how you say it. I'm terrible with that. I'm going to get butchered by a couple of geezers that work for that now. But no, the way he came into a game against, I know we're at home, but Burnley is such a physical team who do the fundamentals really, really well. They're very hard to break down. They get back into blocks of 4, blocks of 6, things like that. And he just found space, and he didn't really complain. He weren't rolling around on the floor or anything. It would have been easy for him to just fall over at every challenge and everyone sort of biting his ankles. And my favourite bit of all, actually, was when he came off and he was subbed, and he sit down next to, I think it was Mkhitaryan, and he just sat there and he's just doing this, going, how many long balls do they just pump forward? He was so shocked. He was like, this is disgusting, like sort of questioning, going, oh, what is this football? And Mkhitaryan's really laughing about it. But no, he looks really good, because I thought the Newcastle game, when he came on, he was bright and he was energetic and stuff, but he had a few wayward passes, and you could see that he weren't quite fully up to speed. But hopefully he's only going to get better, because I still don't think everyone's fully fit. No one's at 100% yet. You don't really see that till sort of October time on. But yeah, you can't ask for anything more. Just get the points on the board at the moment until everyone's up to speed, and you know the manager can get his plan put into the players. There's a lot of new guys coming into the squad. You changed the system a bit. We're sort of relying on the back 4 a lot more now so far. So very happy with it.
Yeah, Geoff. 5 points ahead of Chelsea with 2 games gone. How good is that?
Yeah, well, it's a good start, isn't it? You know, for one of the teams that you would think would be up there. If you look at, what was it, last season we was 2 points behind them, wasn't we? And 1 point behind Tottenham. I fancy they'll struggle this year, Chelsea. Obviously, they've got the embargo. They can't buy anyone, can they?
No.
Not in the Christmas window either. So they've got what they've got, and that's it. I think they're a bit short. I think they're a little bit up in the air as well. New manager, Lampard.
I'm really surprised they let Luiz go, to be honest. Because you look at their back line, they haven't got really any centre-backs in there. to let him go was a real shocker for me.
There must be something
great
in that.
signing.
Yeah, there must be something in that, and so cheap as well. Incredible money. But having said that, I was saying I'm not sure he's. I'm still not sure he's a proper defender for Arsenal.
I think what I like about him, it sounds bad. It's not necessarily his defensive ability, but it's his attitude and the sort of thing he can bring to the dressing room and the encouragement. But also, the one thing I will say, and again, it's not a defending ability, but his balls out from the back, the passing range he's got on him. That's going to be, especially for someone like Aubameyang to run onto.
Well, at the game, we were lucky enough to be at the game, as I said, and the calmness at the back with David Luiz was so much different to having to watch Shkodran Mustafi. You can see the difference. He doesn't panic. He's very, very calm on the ball, and he does tempt players into him, and he's so confident he'll bring them close, and then he'll get the space just by passing it off. And with Mustafi, you'd be absolutely shitting yourself, really. Worried about what he was going to do with the ball, and is he just going to pass it to the opposition? But hopefully he can continue. But I'm not sure when it comes down to nitty gritty against the top teams who've got top centre forwards. He might get found out a little bit. We'll have to just wait and see, though, won't we?
But do you not think? Where Danny said about Chelsea obviously being that many points behind us already. That mentality of buying a player from another club, weakening them and stuff, that's something we haven't done for so long, especially from a Premier League team. It's just nice to see that doing that again. Yeah,
it was brilliant. So, listen, he's definitely improved the squad. He's improved the actual first team. So I think he'll play more or less every game if he's not injured. He's got a wealth of experience. He played with top players, and he's won a lot of stuff as well. So he's a winner. I find it an amazing purchase. And fair play to them. They went out and they've seemed to have done what they can do in addressing all the areas that we were short at for the first time in maybe 15 years. That we've come into a season feeling a lot stronger, a lot more confident than we have done before. And hopefully, they can all gel on the pitch now. And I'm very positive. I'm positive anyway, really. But I'm very positive this year. If we can get a really, really good run going and just keep on bouncing off it, go game to game, you never know. I mean, don't get me wrong. I can't think we're going to overcome Man City. But I'm just hoping we can get into that Champions League organically, so to speak, rather than go the Europa League route.
We were talking about Luiz and why he did that move. Here's some quotes for you. I am a guy with ambition, and that is why I moved. Another quote, I could choose a comfortable zone and get money and be cool, and that is it. But I like a new challenge and new things in my life. This is what gives me oxygen and gives me motivation, and also to really enjoy this moment of my life. One day football will finish, and you have to try to do things and improve every day, as one day I will miss football. I'm trying to be honest with my heart and honest with the way I try to feel new things. And that's a really good interview by someone called Simon Fanny Collins at the Evening Standard yesterday. So I'm not going to read any more of it. Yeah, but so if you want to go and that's our Simon from ABW. He's a really, really good article on why Luiz left. So that's in yesterday's Evening Standard. So
sounds good.
Ambition.
Yeah. He's good sound bites from him, at least. He's saying the right things, which is usually standard for footballers that move from one club to the next, isn't it? Yeah. I'm surprised he didn't say, well, you know what, I was always an Arsenal fan from when I was a kid, but that's the normal stuff that they say.
He said, I've got all of Jenkinson's bedspreads off him, all his Arsenal bedspreads.
It looks positive, doesn't it? It looks really, really positive.
So in the summer transfer window, Geoff, quite a few players left the club. I think for me, it's the most amount of players that have gone out of the club since the 04-05 season, just after we did the Invincible. So I'll just go through the players that are left, and then I'll come to each of you, so if it's a good move or not. So Alex Iwobi, Everton, 28 million, Geoff. Good or bad?
Oh, it's a miracle, mate. Is it 28 or 35?
It's 28 with 6 million add-ons.
It's just a miracle, mate. Honestly, and that's, you know what? And that's it. The thought of it that we had young Nelson on that side, and and Pepe when he come on as well, rather than me having to watch Michael Flatley running down the line and just doing absolutely nothing or passing the ball away. I think he's still running down Finsbury Park now, Iwobi, bless him. But it's amazing how they got that kind of money for him. I'm amazed, honestly. But anyway, I digress.
What's your thoughts, John?
I'm slightly a bigger Iwobi fan than Geoff is, but it's hard to turn down that money. I think we could have got more for him, if I'm honest, just because the prices in the market are ridiculous. You think his age, experience, international experience, everything else. I think Iwobi unfortunately suffered from I'm at a club with Mesut Ozil, so I'm never going to get to play through the middle, which is probably his best position. But I like Iwobi. I think he got a rough time of it at Arsenal. He did a lot more good than people realise. I'll admit his final ball and sometimes his decision making wasn't the best, but there was no one else in the team who could win the ball against three people and then run it 40 yards up the pitch. And we certainly needed that in quite a few games last season. So good luck to him. I hope he does well at Everton.
Before I say anything mean, I'll say that for me, I thought it was our most improved player last season. But apparently, my mate Dean is an Everton fan, and he said now they've got Iwobi on the left, you've got Walcott on the right, the whole of row Z at the back of the goal. Each goal's been given crash helmets. Quick one on Christian Bielik. Geoff, he went to Derby County for 9 million plus another million in add-ons.
I'm surprised because I saw a lot of Tony Adams in Christian Bielik. I only seen him maybe half a dozen times, if I'm being honest with you. But what I did see was I saw a lot of a young Tony Adams, and I'm disappointed that he didn't stay at the club because I thought he could, from what I see, I thought he was going to make it here. Very calm and very calm on the ball and decent player. And I know he went on loan and played in midfield, and I saw a few clips of him playing in midfield when he was on loan. Where did he go on loan again now?
Charlton, they got promoted.
Charlton, that's correct, yeah. And
League Two, League One.
He looked good in their side, but maybe he at the moment wasn't at that standard that could get into the Arsenal first team, and they had to unload a few quid in wages, I know, to obviously pay for these other players that have come in. So, it swings and roundabouts, isn't it?
Well, I added it up to roughly £675,000 a week we saved in wages by all this clear out.
That's not quite what your wages are, Dan, but,
I wouldn't be eating pot noodles if I was on that much, Geoff.
I think you would, Dan. Honestly, I think you would.
John, your thoughts on Bielik? We're not going to do every single play. We're just going to do the main ones.
Yeah, I mean, look, I haven't seen as much of him, but Ross, our friend from the Hipsters, watches loads of Championship and Lower League football, always talked very highly of him. I'd imagine he'll be a Premier League player before soon. But I also suspect that since Mr. Sanye's come in the club, any player we've sold, more than likely we might have a sneaky buyback first refusal clause on every single player. Classic Barcelona move that, he learned whilst he was at the club. So, mate, if he keeps improving and does well, ends up in the Premier League, we might get a chance to buy him back. So we'll see. But again, another one. Hope he does well. And like Geoff said, I think Iwobi they would have kept, but again, there was the offer for money. They needed it to come in so they could juggle some finances around. Bielik's probably much the same. They probably would have liked to keep him, but if they get in the right offer for money, for price for players, then and it helps out getting new talent in, then it's what you got to do.
I would imagine Snelly's done either a buyback clause and or a tranche of the sell-on if the club do sell him.
Yeah, more than likely.
Well, when Ismail Benacer went from Empoli to AC Milan, we got 4 million sell-on from that. And when the Geoff Rain Adelaide went from somewhere to Lyon, we got about 3 million from that deal as well. So gone are the days when we spend years producing quality young players and then they bugger off on a free and we never get anything from them. All right, Geoff, Lorne Koscielny, what do you think about the situation?
Disappointed, mate. Very, very disappointed, really, the way it ended. I think fantastic servant for the club, never ever caused any trouble. Had a traumatic last 2.5 years, 3 years maybe, where he had the Achilles problems and all different types of injuries. But I'm fond of him. I'm still fond of him. It's just a shame that the way he left the club in the end. But Arsenal are now, that wouldn't have happened under Wenger because he'd have just let him go for free and would have wrapped him up in cotton wool and most probably flew him over there, paid all the fees and everything else, knowing Arsenal. But Arsenal are now seem to be a little bit more ruthless than what they have in the past, and maybe that's what we've been missing.
I think you could be right, John.
Fuck him, don't care.
Feeder league nonsense.
Honestly, players come and go. Like, there's some players I get, I'm a little bit sad when they leave the club and stuff, like when Santi left and people like that. But I don't know. I mean, Koscielny's been there a long time, but no, it's just the old thing of, oh, you're a captain, so now you want to leave the club. Go on.
He's made a few monumental howlers over the years, hasn't he?
That's the thing. Immediately when all this came out, it was Bayern Munich, Birmingham. I think it's like every team beginning with B. I think it was as well. He did it against. They come and go. Not bothered.
Right, now the sad one, Geoff. Carl Jenkinson, Nottingham Forest, £2 million. Sad times.
Has he gone? Yeah.
Yeah.
Gone. Yeah. I can't remember. I've been so much happening in my life over the past few weeks. Mate, we've been out dancing and everything else.
Even on the shandies.
We must have missed that one, Dan.
£2 million, though. 50 grand a week off the wages bill.
Yeah, 50 grand a week. My girlfriend would be distraught because she used to love Carl Jenkinson.
I did.
No, I'm joking. I'm joking. Yeah, the dancing giraffe, she used to call him, bless him. No, listen, I quite liked him, and he didn't do too much wrong in the last few games that he's played for us, but that was it. He was so safe, he was so guarded that I don't think he played the ball forward. It was good. He just get it and knock it sideways, and I think he's totally lost confidence. I still think there's a player in him. I still think he's going to get a living in the Premier League somewhere, in longevity, and hopefully get some confidence back. 'Cause he's got loads of pace, and if he has got a bit of confidence and he can plough down that right-hand side, he'll be all right, but not for Arsenal, no.
John, are you holding back the tears?
Yeah, a little bit. There was a lot of taking the piss out of Jenkinson because he's a fan doing it and stuff and whatever, but fair play to me. Was at the club for, you remember there's that famous picture of all the, the British Corps and whatever. He was the last one to go. No one would have, if you picked out anyone, it'd be like, Jenkinson's the first one off that list. He's not staying. Why they put him in that picture? It don't make any sense. But no, I agree with Geoff. I think he's good enough to play in the Premier League. The season he had at West Ham, where he was on loan there, he did really well. So good luck to him. Hope he does well. And I tell you what, Koscielny should maybe take some notes from Carl, because that's how you write a farewell message to the fans and the club.
It was very good. Takuma Asano has finally gone, Geoff, after about 15 different lows. He's gone to Partizan Belgrade in Serbia.
Yeah. God bless him. God bless him. I think we better leave it at that, Dan.
John, David Ospina, gone to Napoli in Italy for $3 million. Very, very good deal for them, wasn't it?
Yeah, for them, it's a decent deal. I mean, he gave me lots of comedy moments, I guess. I don't know. Did they get a neck with that $3 million or not? Or has he still not got one? I'm not really sure.
That was an extra $3 million.
I didn't mind Ospina, I've got to be honest with you. But,
the one thing I did like was when anyone came in the box near him, he'd immediately go down and feign injury and waste time. He was a great time waster.
Oh, Spina time, we're going to miss that. Also, Xavier Amechi has gone, the young prospect has gone to Germany. Stefan Lichtsteiner was released and he's now signed for Augsburg, who Jens Lehmann was assistant manager last season, ended up getting sacked. Julio Unpronounceable has been released and went to Holland. Cohen Bramall went to Colchester. Geoff, Aaron Ramsey, contract expired, joined Juventus. Last seen standing on a table singing Oasis songs.
Yeah, Dani Ceballos in 90 minutes, showed me what Aaron Ramsey should have been doing for the last 10 years at Arsenal.
Geoff, how dare you? What if Jason hears this?
Doesn't matter. That's only my opinion. That he was the epitome of what Aaron Ramsey should have been doing, honestly. He was all over the park. And you know what? For free, that's very, very harsh, of course. But I think we have got better players in our team now than Aaron Ramsey.
Very, very true. John, do you want to say anything on Ramsey?
I think most people know how I feel about Ramsey. I don't really want to talk about it because I might start crying.
Right, Danny Welbeck released, joined Watford. Now, for me, this just shows the kind of level that he is as a player to end up at mid-table Watford, and then I don't think he's going to do much there. I like him. He's always his flexibility to play anywhere. Geoff was really, really good, but it's kind of shown that he was a mid-table player, wasn't he?
Yeah, I suppose so. But Man United and Arsenal was maybe I think they flattered him a little bit. I used to like Danny. He was very enthusiastic. He was all across the pitch, always give 100%, no matter who he played for, who he played against. He only, he was a forward that he just could. If he could score a goal, it'd be 100 million quid. But he couldn't really score goals for Toffee, could he? Having said that, he scored a few for England. But you know, the ratio goals per chances that Danny got was very poor. But he play him anywhere else across that front line. He was all right. You know, you get your 6 or 7 out of 10 every week out of him, and you know, he might pop up and nick one every now and again. Not an Arsenal player, though, so it's best that he left.
John, Petr Cech, was he the man who broke Wenger, being the only big player we signed that summer? Because for me, that's when it all started to really turn sour for him.
I don't know if it's Czech's fault that we only signed him. I wouldn't blame him for it. No, I like Cech. He came in, he's a consummate professional and did as well. It was definitely the tail end of his career. We didn't get his best years. Chelsea did. But he was helped when he was at Chelsea that he had a much better defence in front of him than the one he had at Arsenal, sadly. But no, always liked Cech. He was brilliant. Sad that we couldn't keep him at the club in some capacity because I think he would have been a real bonus and nice thing to have there. So, yeah, was a good signing when we got him. We needed him at the time, but nice for him to retire. He's had a fantastic career. He's won just about everything, hasn't he?
Yeah, Geoff, he's done what Pat Jennings did, didn't he? He was a legend at one club, came to ours, and as soon as his contract was up, scuttled back down at the other side of London.
I preferred Pat, to be honest with you. What a goalkeeper he was, you know, arguably the best in the world at the time when we got him from Tottenham for £40,000. Believe that? Amazing, eh?
Yeah.
40 grand. But Petr Cech, you know what? The game quickly turned around so much that it put Petr Cech out of the game. Because he wasn't a goalkeeper that was brought up playing the ball, and it's hard to teach old dogs new tricks, as you well know. And he was shocking on the ball, mate. When the game changed, where you had to, like a sweeper keeper or whatever you want to call it, no, he just wasn't that man, and he struggled, didn't he? So I think the way the game's gone, he had to retire. I don't think there was no room to go.
And just to cover a couple of the players that came in, Geoff. Nicolas Pepe, £72 million.
I was amazed when I saw that figure. I never thought I'd see Arsenal spend £72 million on any footballer. Never mind in this particular season when we were purported to have only 50 million quid or something like that, which I knew was a bit of a wet fanny anyway. But you know what? He looks good. I like him. I think I like him how wide he goes. We're missing a wide player for 10 years. I like the way he's a left-footed player that plays on the right-hand side. That causes all kinds of problems. He's definitely got a few tricks in him. He's got some great feet. He's got plenty of pace. Whether or not he'll be able to live up to the just the toughness of the Premier League when you get into like game 26, game 27, and difficult away games like at Burnley and teams like that. He might struggle that way, but listen, we'll have to just see. He's got plenty of talent. He's got that in abundance, but let's just hopefully he can bring that onto the football pitch and do the trick for Arsenal.
Hopefully. John, do you think one of the main reasons we got him is because we paid such a massive amount of money? I think it was 25 million up front and about another 10 million for the next 5 years after that. Do you think the only reason we got him is because I know Lille need to get some money in, but they needed to get it in drip fed, didn't they? They couldn't take it all in one go. Yeah,
I think it's partly that the player wanted to come, which was obviously a big help. He had offers from Champions League clubs, so he could have taken that. But also because I think they'd suffered some penalties twice in the last couple of years for the financial fair play in the French league.
Yeah.
So if they had consistent money coming in every year for a few years, then it was going to help them out avoiding any of those sort of penalties again. So that helped us in that favour. And I think if it was a different club and we couldn't have structured the deal in that way, the chances of us getting him were slim to none, to be perfectly honest, because I don't think we could have fronted even half that money maybe up front. We would have maybe had to pull away from some of the other deals we did. So look, it just all fell into place at the right time. Like Geoff said, I mean, I haven't seen a lot of him, to be fair, like previously in the French league. Chris has been raving about him for I can't remember how long, to be perfectly honest, before, everyone on Twitter was chatting about how good he is and they've gone watch him every week with their nan. But the few times he's been on, particularly in the Burnley game, just like little turn one way, then flick back the other and nutmeg a player, and confidence to take on the ball, running at people, stopping, starting again, all that kind of thing. We haven't had a player who can really, really run at a defence. Iwobi would do it, but again, we had the problem with the end product there. Hopefully the end product is there. He seems like he's integrated well already, getting on with Aubameyang and Lacazette. So you've got to give him time, though. I remember, Perez took, a season before he really started flying?
He got a load of grief, didn't he?
Yeah, Gilberto, I don't think he hit the ground running, really. But then you look at him and he's probably one of the best midfielders we've ever had at the club when you look back at everything he's done. So, and that's a lot of money, but I think you have to take into account he's still very young. He's got a long career ahead of him, hopefully at Arsenal. I'd expect maybe we see him in the Liverpool game for sort of 60 minutes because I think he can exploit the spaces those fullbacks leave. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to see more of him this season. Just when we get to the point where we see Lacazette, Aubameyang and Pepe starting all as the front three together, and when you see them firing, I think that'll be, like early Wenger days of the proper flying Arsenal.
Yeah, one final transfer, Geoff. The Kieran Tierney from Rangers for 20 million plus 5 million add-ons, apparently 75 grand a week. One of the best quotes I've heard about it, someone in one of our live chats said, Kieran Tierney is just a Scottish Robertson of Liverpool.
Can I just
crack me up?
Can I just correct you there, Danny? Was it from Celtic, not Rangers?
Which one? Did I say Celtic Rangers?
Yeah, he did.
Oh, I forgot. I've got written here Glasgow Celtic.
Glasgow, same place, isn't it, mate? Just up the road, isn't it? You know what? I've never seen
the lad. Started a race war and everything now, Danny.
I've never seen the lad play, to be honest with you. But I reckon he's a decent player. A bit injury prone, I hear. But I mean, how long is he out for, Dan? Any idea?
2 months. He should be back, I think.
They said October he's back.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well.
He's amazing. He is like someone who can actually do proper defending and he can play as a left winger. So, yeah, it was some of the YouTube videos I've seen him in. I've seen him play a couple of times, but I didn't notice too much about him. But the pace he has got down that wing and he loves to take players on and he'll quickly get back and do some defending. So he's basically the same as Bellerin, but Scottish and paler.
Sounds good. Sounds brilliant.
It's going to be amazing.
We do need width, don't we?
Yeah. Right, let's just cover those transfers, people, because making too much noise here, because these two haven't done any pods so far this season. Right, Geoff, what's your thoughts on the weekend's game? We're playing Liverpool. Are you worried?
Of course I am. Of course, they're a top team, Liverpool, aren't they? But I do see a few weaknesses that have come to the fore the last few games. I think they was a little bit fortunate at the weekend at Southampton. They could have easily got beat. Southampton had a couple of chances in the first half that they should have tucked away. And Danny Ings, God bless him, that one chance that he missed at the death there. Dan, you could have scored it, mate, honestly. You could have scored it. So, and they're not as good as the back as what they were last year, but they might get into that. It might be okay by the time they play the Arsenal normally do. My main concern is how we're going to deal with passing the ball out with their very experienced high press that they have, and they're very good at it. So I think for the first half an hour we might have to just drop it over the top of people, play into their corner flags to get the crowd settled down, and then maybe play our way into the game. Because if we go 1-0 down, it could be anything. It'll be interesting to see how these new boys. It'd be interesting to see who he plays to start with. Will he play the likes of Willock and Nelson?
Would you?
It's not a big ask, mate. I'm telling you. Because the big games at Anfield, they do make a noise there. Sometimes not all of the match, but they do start off very, very loud. Especially the European champions now. So they've got a little bit of fire in their belly. I'm a little bit concerned though, but I would love to come away with a win, but it would be great. I would take a draw. I'd take a point out of court right now and go with a free game, 7 points for 3 games and playing Liverpool away, get that one out of the way. But I am concerned. John?
Yeah, like yourself, obviously worrying just because that front three is so good and they do press so well. It's, it's just winning the ball back in horrible areas, and the way we've been playing out from the back, even more so now when you add someone like David Luiz into the back line, it does make me a little nervous. But the one thing I would say is that they're always susceptible on the break. They always have been, because they do play so tight. There's space to run in behind, which for someone like Aubameyang is great. Lacazette, not as quick, but he can at least hold the ball up and play it into someone like him. You've got Pepe now as well. I don't think Nelson will start, to be honest. I think he will probably go with Pepe. But, it's someone else who's got that pace there. I just think the fact that Alisson is out for them, it's just unnerved their defence a little bit. Like Van Dijk was not flawless, but pretty much, probably one of the best defenders in the league last season. I know it's only first 2 games, but as soon as Alisson went out, their defence all of a sudden went, who the fuck is this bloke behind us? We don't recognise him. And it just unnerves them a little bit. And I don't think, I'm not saying Adrian's a bad keeper. I think he was quite good when he was at West Ham, to be fair, but it's not the same. If you haven't got the same bloke behind you you've had for the whole of last season, who you've got 100% confidence in, whatever he's doing with the ball, you're going to worry. And they will not change how they play either, regardless of what personnel they bring in. Yeah. So I think that's something you can exploit. I'd like Geoff. I'd take a draw now before the game. I'd take a score draw. But no, I think we've got a chance. I'm much more confident this season than I am last. I do think we might change to the 3 at the back for this game.
I'd go with the old George Graham philosophy of just getting to half time at 0-0 and letting us play our way into the game in the second half. That would be because I do think we could hurt them offensively. Like you say, John, I do think that we can definitely hurt them, but it's the conceding of the goals. That's the problem. That's what worries me. Yeah,
the one thing I would say is, like Geoff already said, like dropping the ball in behind is great for the runners we've got and just try and exploit that space. But their midfield is very good at one thing, which is breaking up play. But if you just let them close you down for the first half, just take their legs out a little bit, a bit of puff out of it, then you can start passing around and find the gaps, because they do play quite direct. The football they play is very quick, is very vertical. It's not on the ground a lot. So I think you've got the chance to play around them. Out of the young kids, I don't think I'd start Nelson, but I think, honestly, I'd consider giving Willock a go. I think in the Burnley game, what you saw from Willock, in that deeper position, he looked so much better than when he was sort of playing the kind of 10 he was in the Newcastle game. And I think he's really come on, like, physically. And I think he deserves a chance, to be honest, because I don't know whether Xhaka's fit and available. And I just think you're going to need someone who's a bit more mobile and got legs in there, which is maybe why I go with a 3. Because if you play David Luiz as one of those 3, you've got, you could be confident in bringing it out from the back and playing into midfield if he needs to.
Be a bit controversial now. Wouldn't have Xhaka anywhere near our first team.
Yeah, that's fair enough. No, I mean, for this game, it makes sense to me, to be perfectly honest, because he's not going to be able to get around the pitch long enough.
Well, he hasn't got the pace, he hasn't got the speed of thought, he hasn't got the speed of pass.
I think he's got the passing ability. I just don't think he's quick enough. I think he's the sort of guy you can, if you're 1 or 2 up, you can bring him on to try and hold the ball and hitting it into the corners and stuff for someone like Aubameyang or Pepe or whoever to run onto. But yeah, I wouldn't start him. I'd rather see, maybe you don't start Ceballos and you go Guendouzi, Willock and Torreira as 3 in the middle or something, just to have plenty of energy in there for the first half and then try and bring people on to try and win you the game.
Ozil, does he get a chance?
Oh, it's away. He's not going to play. Come on, is he?
No. Well,
I'll tell you one thing. Ozil's going to really have to fight for his place. If Ceballos plays like he did in the Burnley game,
you're
he's
not wrong.
going to have to start trying to really start playing, because he's weird. Because it's the thing, we've said about Ozil for a long time. There isn't really that traditional number 10 anymore. He's sort of the last big name one. And Ceballos isn't really a 10, but he's not really an 8 either. He's something in between. He's more kind of like you see with Kevin De Bruyne at City and Eriksen almost a little bit at Spurs. They're a bit of both. They do the box to box, but they can do all the finding a player and stuff and getting a goal. I think Ozil, maybe Ceballos can push him out, but it might be a good thing, a bit of competition for him.
Ceballos looks a little bit more economical for Arsenal, doesn't he? Yeah. If Ozil's not on the ball, he's a passenger.
Yeah.
Whereas
I don't think in games like that, you can't afford to have someone who's just not basically involved in the game, can you?
I think I'd agree with you there, John.
Couple of good stats here. Liverpool are unbeaten in the last 39 home Premier League games.
Oh, fucking hell, Danny, cheer us up.
And so far this season, Liverpool have attempted the most crosses per game in the Premier League with 28. So, yeah, if we are, whoever's going to be playing at the back for us, wear a crash helmet because you were going to be bombarded with crosses. John, Geoff made a point where he said when we play the ball out from the back, the Liverpool are going to be trouble. Now, there's a new rule, isn't there, with the refereeing, and I'm not even going to try and explain it. Have you got any idea how it works?
Right, so now your defenders can stand in the box when the goalkeeper kicks the ball. The ball used to have to travel outside of the 18-yard box before one of your players could touch the ball. And now you can stand in the box. So Liverpool players will be standing on the edge of the box. I'm not sure if they're allowed to encroach into the box until it's been touched or not. I'm not exactly sure on the ruling. I probably should have looked this up.
No, it's true. You can't. They can't come into the box until the ball's been touched by an Arsenal player or whatever.
Yeah. So Leno can play it short to David Luiz or Socrates or whoever. I think the reason why I would go with three at the back it does mean you're kind of matching the Liverpool front three in a sense. But it means if you've got someone like David Luiz, he's kind of the safe out ball to one of your two centre backs of. We're not as good on the ball or as comfortable as he is. He's confident enough to take it out of defence, and if there is a gap that opens up, he can go into it and open space up for other players. It also means, Kolasinac is going to play as a left wing back and not a left back. Well, I love the guy going forwards, but let's be honest, he really can't defend. And I think Maitland-Niles is, he's done really, really well in that position. He gets better and better, and people keep saying he's not a right back, and I don't know, maybe he will be a really good one, but he's much better going forwards. And I'd rather see him bombing down the wing and trying to get into the space behind those fullbacks. And that's the thing, those strikers are just going to push on to three centre-backs then. So that's what I'd do. But, yeah, it'll be interesting. But the same applies for them, Danny, because they'll do the same thing. Or they'll play it out, and it's going to be Adrian doing it, and it's not Alisson. And, again, those defenders will be going, it's not the same bloke in goal. I'm not sure I want to pass the ball back to him now.
That is why, for me, that is their Achilles heel for this game. They've got quality players in every position apart from in goal. And Adrian he was a bit of a cult hero at West Ham. They used to do the Rocky Adrian, and he'd turn around and do stuff. But when he was in goal, they were struggling at the bottom half of the table last season for quite a lot of the time. And having him in goal, Mingale was a better goalkeeper. And like you were saying, what were you saying about Karius before we started, John?
Well, I don't know whether it's true or not. I don't even know if he's still a Liverpool player, but there was a rumour he's out. I think they said he was out on loan, and there was some rumour about them having to bring him back on loan. I don't know if someone started it just to wind up Liverpool fans, basically. I mean, if they did, well done to you, because I saw loads of them getting upset about it on Twitter. So that's hilarious. But yeah, the other thing I would say is their midfield is not as strong. It's good at one thing, which is destroying the ball and then playing it quickly forwards. That's it. Fabinho's a very good player, but the rest of them around him. Jordan Henderson does a really good job sort of breaking up play, but if you pressure him and he hasn't got time to pass, he's not quick of mind like Geoff said.
They're not the best technically, are they?
Yeah, all their talent is in that front three and their back line, and in particular the fullbacks, the width they get. That's the other thing as well. Whoever plays wide in whatever formation we do, they've got to be really disciplined in tracking Robertson and what's his name? Oh, Terence Trent D'Arby.
Terence Trent D'Arby, yeah.
That geezer. Oh, Trent Alexander-Arnold, that's it.
Okay, so Geoff, what's your prediction for the game then, score-wise? You don't have to if you don't want to jinx it.
No, of course not. I don't worry about jinxing it, mate. I'm gonna take a shot in the dark and have a right go at 2-2.
Oh, Johnny boy.
I'm going to go for a slobber knocker 4-3 to the Arsenal.
I'm going 3-2.
To Arsenal, then, yeah?
Nah, to Liverpool.
Yeah, okay.
I don't think we're going to be that lucky. I think they've had, three? They've got the Egyptian Walcott, who I don't think is a great player. He's had one brilliant season. So many players do that. He's been a bit found out. And I think we've got so many players in our team, like Pepe and the young kids, that they don't know much about. They won't have seen them play much. And I think it's going to take a while before we can start exposing them. And you see the way Pepe was, like you were saying, John, with the Burnley bloke, they turned him inside out and they should just retired at that point.
Players are scared of new players like that unknown, because they'll see the price tag and then they'll look a few YouTube videos, because players look at all those sort of things. They see stuff on Twitter and whatever. They'll see highlights and they go, well, hang on a minute, I'm not sure how close I should get to this bloke. He's going to make me look a right tit, and I'll be on match today. And and then you'll get your England teammate Jesse Lingard doing some stupid fucking dance, taking the piss out of you or whatever. So yeah, they'll be nervous of those sort of guys. And like Ceballos, he was a bit cynical in the Burnley game and the Newcastle one, like kicking the ball away and like stopping a goalkeeper getting the ball and things like that. David Luiz, like loves a wind up and a bit sly away from the ref. He put one on Barnes, didn't he? Looked at the ball, went, oh, actually Barnes there, I'll just take him out instead.
Yeah.
Took a yellow card for it. So you've got that added in the team as well now. I just think the whole atmosphere around the squad seems really good at the moment.
It is. John, if you go and have a look at your Twitter DMs, I've DM'd you the listeners' questions because in this chat box, it comes up as gobbledygook if you try and do it like that. So while John's going and getting the listeners' questions, Geoff, when was the last time you were this confident, excited, or whatever adjective you want to use for an Arsenal season with all these new players, the amount of attacking quality we got, and the amount of even having a brilliant goalkeeper like Leno and a manager who likes to attack? I can't remember the last time I was this excited.
Yeah, I thought it was I think it was the year that we got Ozil. I just thought we was, he would put us into a different stratosphere with regards to where we were at the time. It didn't, as we know, it just didn't really realise it how it went on. But no, you know what? I'm quite excited, but. Again, all these new players, you never know how they're going to bed in, mate. This Premier League is a different animal to where they've all played before. It'd be good to get the young lad Tierney in because he's obviously British and he knows exactly, he's going to know much more about the Premier League than the other lads, and see how he beds in. But listen, I'm quietly confident. I'm quietly confident we'll make top 4 this year.
Well, that season was 2013-14 when we got Ozil, top appearance makers that season. Per Mertesacker, 52 games, 3 goals. Ollie Giroud, remember that, Geoff? 1-0 Giroud, as you used to say every week for your prediction.
Yeah, predictions. I've got 2 championships down to Ollie Giroud, mate. 2-1 Ollie Giroud. Huh?
And 51 games, 22 goals. Bakary Sagna, 48 games. Wojciech Szczesny, 46. Koscielny, 46. Santi Cazorla, 46 with 7 goals. Rosicky played 39 games. Jack Wilshere played 35. And then Aaron Ramsey that season, Geoff, 34 games, 16 goals. And even Lucas Podolski got 12 in 27. Yeah. So, that's a good call, that. John, have you got the questions?
Yes, I do have the questions.
Over to you then, Mr. Welsh.
Okay, well, Danny, you've been asking the questions all night, so I'm going to start with you. One from Billy. Sorry, this hasn't got any of the Twitter @, so apologies.
Oh, no, I took those off because sometimes they're a bit litigious.
Oh, well, there you go. So this one's from Billy for you, Danny. How hard do you think it will be to keep Ceballos after the season?
Impossible. He was a wonder kid when Real Madrid bought him from Betis, I think. He had a couple of seasons at Betis, and then Real Madrid got him. I think they paid about 18 million quid for him. Then he's had 2 pretty decent seasons at Real Madrid. Last season, I think he 25 La Liga games and either 2 or 5 goals. He looks about 40, but bloody hell, he's got the heart of a lion and he never stops running. And I can see now why. I've not looked through the fine print of the contract. I've asked them, they've not sent me it, so I don't know if there's any kind of sell-on clause. But if there is, and you would have thought before the season started, if we would have had a sell-on clause, you'd think 40, 50 million. After these 2 games, you're looking at 80 or 90 million. And like Geoff said, other teams, if we haven't got him sewn up, then other big teams are going to come in and take him if Real Madrid don't want him, because I think a lot of that depends on what people like Bale and whether Zidane gets the hump and quits at the end of the season. But I can't believe they've let him go.
Yeah, I think from what I was told from Joel, also of the Hipsters, anyone else remember that podcast? He was basically not wanted by Zidane, and Zidane told Perez just sell him and get the money in so we can, get some other players in. Because I think he wanted Pogba, didn't he? Or probably still does. But Perez said, no, we're not selling him, we're only loaning him. Because I think he refused to sell him outright. So Perez really likes him. So we know what it's like trying to get a player if Florentino Perez really likes him. Because how many years did we try and get Benzema?
All of them.
And he never let him go. So that'd be a tough one.
The only thing that does go in our favour is that particular position. They normally have a world class player, and if he's gonna jump into them shoes, mate, he's gonna have to up his game a little bit.
Oh yeah, big time. One for you, Geoff, from our Carl. He says, our next 3 games, that's Liverpool away, that lot at home, and Watford away. What's the expectation we will achieve from these?
Well, I think a maximum of 5 points. I think that I'll take a point at each of the. We can beat Tottenham. We can beat Tottenham at home, which we've proved so many times in the past.
And let's Vars on their side again.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. But I would take the 5 points at the moment.
Yeah, fair enough. Danny, what do you reckon for those?
Yeah, I don't. I think we can definitely going to get 4. I don't think we're going to beat Liverpool away at their place because they're just too strong. But I think 5's a good call. But I wouldn't be surprised if it's not all going to be go swimmingly. We're going to have some hiccups during the season, and it's going to ruin our start to the season. But we have definitely, if the players turn up, because we are a frightening team to play against. So I could definitely agree with Geoff that we're getting 5. How about you, John?
Being Arsenal, we could very well beat Liverpool away. Just oddly, draw with Tottenham at home, and then get beat against Crystal Palace.
Stop it.
I'm turning over a new leaf this season, listeners. I'm going to say 7, but I'm going to say the draw is away at Watford. That's the weird one.
You should come up with a number that it's impossible to get.
Oh yeah, we get 10. Right, one from Carl. A lot of praise for Ceballos, and rightly so. But where do you see him in this team? Is he replacing Ozil at 10, or as our press resistor in centre mid, a la Santi? What do you reckon, Geoff?
Oh, it's a tough one. That I do think he's going to get the nod in front of Ozil. Obviously, Ozil had a few problems last season with the manager and personal issues. I don't think that would have boded well. I think there's a lot of money that he's carrying around with him. Everyone, when you think about Mesut Ozil and that 350 or 300 odd, whatever £1,000 a week, that clicks into the mind straight away. Whereas Ceballos has come on, he's hit the ground running, he looks really, really good. I think you've got to leave him in there, and if he keeps on playing, where's Mesut Ozil going to play? He's going to come on for the last 15 or 20 and playing the League Cup games, isn't he, in the Europa League?
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I mean, that's the other thing as well. Ceballos is hungry, isn't he? Because he wants to prove himself at Arsenal and prove himself so he can get his spot back at Madrid. And that if it doesn't work out for him there, then he can at least get a move to, the club he wants to go to. So he's got everything to play for. Maybe it is. Was it Mertesacker who said it was really hard to play football again after winning the World Cup? Because you sort of lose the hunger.
He did, yeah.
Yeah, it was, wasn't it?
Said that. Didn't Lahm say that as well?
Yeah, it's a come down, isn't it? It's a come down.
Yeah, you can't get any higher than that, can you, basically?
Just looking at the stats from last season, in the press on the wrong button, in the Premier League only for last season, someone tweeted a stat that Ozil got 2 assists in the entire last season. Ceballos got that in 1 game. But I'm just trying to press in the right buttons here to see if it's true or not.
Is it fake news?
Ozil, he got 24 games, 2 assists in the Premier League last season. Yeah. Ceballos has equalled that in 1 game.
Shocking, that, isn't it, really, the stats from Brady. But you know what? Again, it's all about who he's got round him as well. And another thing, now we've got a couple of wide players. We call them wide players. I think they are, really. I think that will definitely benefit Mesut Ozil if he does play.
He's got more people to hit, and he more runs, and he's more in front of him. He didn't. He was never. He only ever really had one guy in front of him getting in behind, and even then, it was a lot of the time it was Lacazette with his back to goal. He didn't have a runner to sort of hit onto, so that will help. But you look at his time at Madrid; he always had someone moving about, didn't he? He had Ronaldo moving, he had Di Maria the other side, Benzema, So a lot more movement for him.
I think even Zidane would struggle when you got a front 3 of Giroud, Iwobi, and Walcott. Busy banging the ball into the rosette the entire time. But also you've got to take into consideration the 10 is almost a defunct position now, isn't it? There's very few players in the world. I mean, De Bruyne does it. So I think we saw...
De Bruyne doesn't even play as a 10, really, does he? He's sort of...
A bit deeper.
Yeah, that's what I was saying earlier, that I don't think there's not really a 10 anymore. It's sort of you're a 10 and an 8. You're kind of somewhere in between.
Isn't there a word... What was the triquesta? What did that cover? I see it as one of the options in FIFA and have no idea what it is.
I can't remember. You got that register. See, I'm going to get loads of abuse now. I've been an Italian football expert. I don't even know what half of them mean. It's some kind of nonsense anyway. It's made up. Got another one from our Carl. This is a good one. Geoff, I'm going to go back to you for this. If we get at least a point against Liverpool, does that mean we're in the title race?
Of course it doesn't. It doesn't mean we're in the title race. It's too early in the season. But what it does give you, massive confidence going into the next game. What's Watford after that, or is it Tottenham first?
It's Tottenham and then Watford, yeah.
Give you a massive boost going into the home game against Tottenham. If you can then roll down and turn them over, get your 3 points, then you are on a roll, mate.
I just think, like, mentally, that if you get a point away at Anfield, the team then goes, oh, hang on a minute, we are good enough to win the league. because you see how well Liverpool did last season. Everyone expects them to sort of keep level at least with Man City for the majority of this season.
At this level, confidence is such a massive. It's just a topper. You know, all these players, when they get to this level, they're all quality players. That extra bit is the mentality and the confidence.
Yeah, that is it. One from Marble Halls TV, Danny. If we win the FA or League Cup but finish 5th or 6th, should Emery keep his job?
No, has to get top 4. Nothing else will do. Maybe win the Europa League, but still top 4 is what he's there to do. And if he doesn't get top 4, he'll be gone, and Freddie will be manager.
Ooh. Jeff, what do you reckon?
No, I'd give him his full term, mate. As long as we don't fall off a cliff, I think his first season wasn't too bad. He got us into a European final. Shame he couldn't do nothing about the team that turned up on the day. He can't go across that white line. That was just so shockingly poor. It was unbelievable. You know, he's given us a right good chance this season. He brought a few good players. We look okay. As long as I think we can organically get into the top 4. You know, the normal way. If not, I would put all our eggs in one basket and go for that Europa League, mate. Win it this season.
Yeah. I think I got to agree with Danny on this one. It's win the Europa and get in the Champions League or top 4. Otherwise, I think I can't remember what his contract is. I think it was 2 years and there's an option afterwards, isn't it? So technically, this is his last year, isn't it, at the moment? But yeah, we'll see how much truth there is in that. One from Fraz. Robin Van Persie, can you think of a steeper fall from grace? Him leaving was disappointing, then his career nosedive. Now he's retrospectively correcting the past. I never hated him. I understood why he left. Now I'm angry. Danny, have you seen the interview to which he is referring?
On BT Sport.
Yes.
He's a liar. He's a snake. He's a shitbag. He's a shite hawk. And I can think of one worse. Alexander Hleb. At least Van Persie didn't stand there crying, going, I wish I'd never have left. It was like one of those Brexit people who voted to stay. And now they're going, well, I don't know. Whichever way around that analogy works, I'm not sure which it is.
John, brief me on it. I've missed it. What did he say?
So he basically he sort of went into this weird analogy about how it was like a marriage, and Arsenal was his wife for I can't remember how many years he was at the club, and he said you have disagreements and you agree on some things, and that's normal. He said I've just had the best season of my career, and there were certain things I wanted, and he basically came out and said Arsenal didn't want him. He said that Arsenal weren't interested in signing him, didn't offer him a new contract. They then asked him, did you ask the club if you could get a new contract? And he said, yes, I asked them. I wanted a new contract. I wanted to stay at Arsenal. But he didn't say they told me they don't want me. He said it was quite clear that they didn't want me. So then he said I had offers from a few different clubs, one that was abroad. That one went away very quickly. And then it was between Manchester United and Man City. And that's why he decided to leave. But it was. When he first started, the way he was describing it like a marriage and there's ups and downs and stuff, and it was like, okay, this kind of makes sense. But the moment he said the club never wanted me, I can't. And we know what Arsene Wenger's like. Was always like very sentimental with players.
Just tucking him in at night.
You know, I can't imagine Wenger ever saying to Van Persie after the amount of time he spent at the club injured. And how long he
raved for 5 years, mate. You can believe it.
About him for years, didn't he? About how good he was, and he's finally gone and done it, and actually like smashing records left, right, and centre. What did he get? 40-odd goals that season, I think, in like league and Europe and whatever. Yeah. And then he says, "No, you know what? I don't want you."
I think he broke Wenger's heart that time. I think that was maybe the straw that broke the camel's back for Wenger.
Started his desk, didn't it? And all of them. I mean, like Petit, another one who turned his back on us for Barcelona, ended up playing for bloody Chelsea.
Well, he lost all them players. He lost Sagna. He lost Adebayor, Clichy. I mean, he lost Fabregas. In them 2 seasons, you had 6 first team players that went out of the first team. Yeah. You know, anyway, and you can imagine his hands was tied. Anyway, let's not talk about Wenger. You get me all crying.
I'll give you a nice happy question, Geoff, because it's a difficult one, but it's a good question to have. From Ryan Karachi, he asks, where does Torreira fit in the squad when he returns to full fitness? It's a good problem to have for a change, isn't it?
Yeah, you've got to stick him in straight in front of that back three. You know, I don't think he can. I mean, Guendouzi was very deep when he at the weekend. He was very disciplined.
Good game, Guendouzi, actually.
He did. He was very deep and he was very disciplined. I'm still a little bit worried of him against them quality teams, he does spend a little bit longer on the ball than you need to in that particular area. Because if you make a ricket there, mate, against a quality team, you're going to get punished. So, but I think he'll sit in that position. I think they'll just alternate between the two of them over the course of the season.
Yeah, there's still. I mean, both of them are still very young. I think Torreira is only 22, 23, and something. And Guendouzi's what, 20? I think.
Yeah, if he's 20, I think so.
So it's mad how quickly they've come on. I saw Guendouzi's already played 50 games for Arsenal.
Amazing, isn't it?
It's nuts.
Amazing.
No wonder like those sort of appearance records get broken so quickly now. Because I mean, I don't remember. I mean, when I started watching Arsenal was like very late 80s, early 90s. But it seems to take a lot longer for players to get to 50 games, but they play so much now.
But I've seen so many, and I mean so many players over the years come in, have a really, really good young player, come in, have a really, really good first season, and just hit a brick wall. Doesn't improve. Theo Walcott was one. I think it was a lot of them over the years. You know what I'm saying? I hope that Guendouzi is not one of those players. I think Torreira will definitely improve. I can see his improvement, but Guendouzi, but I really do, because I think he'll have a great. It could be, one of them players, 4 or 5 players that are the future of Arsenal Football Club.
And we got one more, Danny, and I've got a question myself as well for after. Again from Fraz, how would you feel about rolling subs in the Premier League?
I've seen this in play when we used to do the All-Stars game, the 5-a-side ex-celebrity pros. It's chaos. It's how do you work out? I mean, you're going to give someone a nervous breakdown trying to work out how many minutes someone played, and it's never going to happen. I know when they did NASL, they had some kind of alternate substitution system. I vaguely remember reading something about that. Never going to happen. Too unorganised. Even as far as going the one where you have a designated player, so when your player goes off injured, this player comes straight on. I think there are some sports that do that. I think even having one like that they'd struggle to incorporate that. Plus, they've seen with this new goal kick thing and the VAR, they're only trying to kill football, not make it better.
Yeah, fair enough. That VAR thing was weird in the Tottenham game. Although I think that was the handball rule, not VAR's fault, to be honest. But there you go. Right, so my question is, this one Mr. Davies actually asked me on the last radio show I did. This is for both of you. So, Danny, I'll come to you first. How many goals do you think Pepe, Aubameyang and Lacazette are going to score between them this season?
Yeah, it's going to be hard on 38 Premier League games. I think most of them are going to play most of those games. And I think to get to the Europa League final is another 15 or 17 games. That's 40. That's 50 odd games. I think they're going to play maybe 3 or 4 FA Cup games. So 50 games a season. So you add in between all 3 of them.
Yeah, those 3. What do you reckon?
Combined 15, 30, 50, 75.
75. Oh, Geoff, what do you reckon?
Presuming we're going to go quite far in all the competition.
Danny, I hope you're right, Danny. I really do. 50. I'm going for 50.
50. I went 70 as well, Danny. So,
did you?
Yeah,
Okay.
I really think Aubameyang's going to fly this season.
Mark it down, Dano. Mark it down, because at the end of the season we'll go back to that. See how we got on.
So I reckon you get in 30 plus from Aubameyang. I reckon he's going to get over 30 this season, and Lacazette will get well over 20. And I think Pepe might end up getting quite a few more goals than
down for 15. But you get a lot of assists as well.
Yeah. So I'll tell you what I did like as well was that Ceballos, he don't mind a shot either. He was every time there was a little opening, he was trying to open his body up and get a shot off as well. So that's nice to see. So yeah, no, I'm very excited about this season.
Very.
Oh, that is all the list of questions, Dan.
Thank you very much, Mr. Welsh. Right then, we're going to swiftly move on to Fife's Forum. And I made up the question because I'd left my phone in my bedroom and I couldn't be able to go and get it and see if anybody else had done one. And luckily, none of you had. So this week's Fife's Forum question is, who was the last player making his full debut who had a game as good as Ceballos did against Burnley, because he played a subs game before that, and so that he started the game. So Stan says Ozil against Sunderland, then it went pear-shaped. Now, I don't know if some of these people are taking the piss. I know one of them is. Al Simon said Vieira. Joe said Gervinho. Our Ellis says Emmanuel Aboué, which is his answer to everything. Lacaveta says Cech. Kyle says he hasn't maintained his performances, but Mickey, when he first joined us, and Jason replied to that, Mickey, 3 assists for Everton, stop the nonsense. I'm not sure which order that went in. Marble Halls TV says Aubameyang. Matt says Lacazette and Aubameyang. I'm going to go with one of the most impressive debuts I've ever seen was Glenn Helder for Arsenal against Nottingham Forest. That bloke was, as Geoff would say, he was mustard on the night, and then the rest of it was downhill. And if you go and tweet him about it, he apologised and said, I didn't give it all for my Arsenal. Geoff, what's your answer?
Can't you remember Paddy Vieira when he burst onto the scene?
I was probably there. I can't remember it though.
Oh, mate, I think it was one of the Sheffield clubs or something like that.
I think it was, yeah.
Unbelievable. I was just looking at him thinking, what the fuck? Where did we get this geezer from? A long, lanky, black kid. You could see he was very athletic, but he looked gangly. You remember when Kanu come as well? He just looked like... Mate, but when he kept on flicking the ball over people's heads and getting it the other side and flicking it back again and absolutely bossed the game. Brilliant player. So that was the debut.
Oh, his debut was against Sheffield Wednesday. We beat them 4-1 on the 16th of September 1996.
Correct.
And
dig it out of the archives, Dan. Go and have a look at it. You will not believe it.
They scored first with Andy Booth, and then David Platt scored, then Ian Wright hat-trick. Were you there that night, Geoff?
Yeah, guaranteed I was there, mate.
I was there. Yeah. We were one of 33,461.
Yeah.
Oh, great days. John, what's your answer?
I think mine's got to be Cech. I can't remember who it was against, but just him coming on and seeing just someone that young with that awful a haircut. You remember that fucking weird mullet thing he had? That was
League Cup, wasn't it?
Wasn't it? 7-1 or 7-1. I was at that game.
Yeah, like the weird mullet thing, and it was like bits of it were dyed. It looked like some sort of freak skunk thing on his head.
Looked like a 12-year-old, didn't he?
He was tiny, but you could just see how good he was on the ball already. Like, he had no fear taking the ball, and there was some big proper lumps around him, because I'm sure it was League Cup as well.
Yeah, it was. We played Rotherham. It was 1-1, and that was the game I met Dennis Bergkamp at.
Oh, there you go. It weren't. I mean, nothing magical happened in the game, but you could just see, Jesus Christ, how have we got this kid from Barcelona? Because he just looked. You knew he was going to be a great footballer. A bit like Geoff was saying about Vieira. There's some players when you see him play first time when they're on the ball, you just think, wow, he's going to be brilliant to watch for years. I think Diaby was a bit like that as well. Everyone always raves about the Liverpool game he had, but whenever he was fully fit and you'd see him on the pitch, he just looked miles better than everyone.
Yeah,
Fabregas, you could just tell instantly. He's just he's going to be mustard.
He started the game, the lineup, stacking goals. Sigan Tavaladis at centre back, Justin Hoyt right back, Clichy left back, Edu, Fabregas, Thomas in the Jerome Thomas in midfield, and up front, Ali Adier, Kanu, and Wiltord. Not a bad lineup, is it?
Sure.
Great days. 27,000 people there. I was one of them.
That's right.
Lovely. Right. So how long have we been going? We've been going an hour and 10 minutes. What else do we have to do, John?
I would just like to say thank you to Kevin Nolan for winding up all the Liverpool fans, because if you haven't seen, go on Twitter. He's done a combined 11 and he hasn't put a single centre mid in from Liverpool. He's put Willock, of all people, in there, and Ceballos up for one game, which is brilliant, and Aubameyang up front and Leno in goal. So he's pissed off all the scouts.
Is he not a Liverpool fan, though? He can't be, because he must be an Everton man.
Isn't he?
I don't know where. Is he? I'm not sure where he's from. Maybe he's a Bolton lad. I'm not sure. Yeah. That's where he's from. I've got no idea. But I just like the fact he's put Willock in straight away. That youngster, just like banging me straight in my team. Not going to put in Xhaka or Torreira, Guendouzi. Not going to stick in Jordan Henderson or James Milner, someone with great experience, whatever. Fabinho, the bloke.
He gone full Paul Merson on everyone.
No, I love it.
Absolutely.
It's just more just to wind up all the Liverpool fans. It's great. Oh. So thank you much, Kevin Nolan. Yeah.
Lovely. Right, I think we should just move on to gentlemen's nods. John, have you got one?
I haven't got one ready, have I? So
Geoff, have you got one?
No, leave off, Dan. You know me. I'll pick one out though. Let's have a look. Let me go to the.
I'll go and find yours, and I'll go and do the podcast one. Thank you very much to the people who have donated: Michael Harniman, J. Rob, Sergio Gutierrez, J. Rob, Ed Loud, J. Rob, Joshua Page, Michael Hernandez, Daniel Kupka, Yvonne Okofor, David Marr, J. Rob, Yvonne, and J. Rob again. So there you go. Basically, J. Rob, and a couple of others. Have you got one yet, gentlemen?
I'm going to give my shout out to at Colonial Cannon, who has very kindly stepped in for me on the radio show this weekend and helped us out because we had to have a bit of a juggle around. So thank you very much to our very own Shredder, who will be on the radio show this weekend.
What was your excuse?
My excuse was that you didn't have anyone else to come on tonight, so I'm doing tonight instead of the radio show on Saturday. So mine goes out for shreds.
Okay, Geoff, you got one?
It's amazing. I mean, I've opened up Twitter.
135,000 followers and you can't find one.
For my inbox, and the first one that comes up is Jason Davis.
Oh, no.
of all people. God bless him. I love him. I've not been on a podcast with him for a long, long while. And Dan, you've got to pencil me in next time he's on because I love him, mate. He's funny. So funny.
Well, he did say, do you want a fourth for tonight? And I said, no, you're right. And then I thought, sometimes Jason does have, his feminine side comes out. You know, when a woman goes, oh, do you want me to have you to come and you think, no, it's all right. And then you think afterwards, I sent him another message. If you're being polite, then no. But if you want to come on, you're welcome. And he just put a little sad face. Well, no, I don't want to come on anymore. Tidy.
So Jason Davis gets my gentleman's nod.
Oh, there you go, Geoff. You're far too kind. Right, there you go, dear listener. That's an hour and 10 minutes. This is what happens when there's no Jason and then there's no Chris yabbering on, ruining everyone's time. And plus, there's not really much to talk about. So, yes, I think we're all done now, aren't we?
Lovely stuff.
Yeah, good stuff, Daniel. Well done.
Okie dokie. Right. The next show is going to be on Friday. It's going to be a preview show. The last one was about 16 minutes, me and Simon Collins. It was very, very good because we actually got on with it. And then the one after that is going to be the radio show, which is going to be after the 10 minutes after the game on Saturday. And then the podcast, we're doing them either Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, whenever we're around. Geoff said I can do Tuesday. I said, Geoff, we're doing it Tuesday because people were wondering where you gone and we missed your dulcet tones. So... Go on.
God bless you, Daniel. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much for joining me tonight, Geoff. You have been the star of the show, as you always are.
Thank you, mate. God bless you. God bless John.
And thank you, Mr. Welsh, for stepping up because Mr. Holick is having a bit of a sit down. Bless his socks.
Yeah, get better soon, Dave. I've got to find out if I'm a Euro millionaire, Danny. I'll buy you some new rims.
that would be a treat indeed. Right, dear listener, thank you very much for listening and watching, and we will see you later. Now when I press the end button, it's actually we do extras now, don't we? So thank you very much for watching and good night. Now we wait, Geoff. We wait for about 5 seconds and then we just talk nonsense for 5 minutes because I do it. So how do you think that went, Geoff?
Yeah, brilliant. Enjoyed it. Great to be back. Great to be back, Dan.
We'll do this for 5 minutes, then I'll end the show. So
at least there was no pigeons tonight, Danny.
Oh, did you see that, Geoff? You've taken it too busy. I was doing the first show of the season with John and Jason, and my telly on there, big old telly, and I could see across the road. It had been pissing down with rain, and I'm going. And Jason said, "Oh, tidy boy or Llandofno or something like that." And I was talking. I went, "Oh yeah, blah 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 blah," and then I stopped and I go, "Blah." And I stop and look at it. I go, there's a pigeon drinking out of a puddle. And they both got their hands in their head like that. I go, no.
Was it Cactus Jack when it captured got the clip of it? And me and Jason done exactly the same thing, exact same time. And he's just tweeted out, and there's Danny just looking over. You see him looking off to the side, looking at his pigeon, and me and Jason like this on live shows. First one of the season. That was 5 minutes in as well. 5 minutes into the show.
What number is this, Dan? What number of show is this? 4,250.
What show? Yeah, it could be. We've done 651 shows now.
Wow.
Absolutely amazing. But then someone sent me a picture of a pigeon with an Arsenal hat on, and then someone did the screen grab again and then put a pigeon on my shoulder. But it was a white speckled gym pigeon of Blackadder, and it's just drinking out of a puddle.
Very good.
A beauty. Yeah, you don't see that every day. Well, I've never seen it before. I'm probably going to see it again. Well, I've got a new front door, though, now that you're asking. Put that in today. I've had a terrible night, Geoff. I'm getting old. I woke up four times in the night for a wee.
Oh, how'd you get on? You have to,
it's terrible.
Get one of them bags at the side of your Dan. Sure.
I needed a Tesco carrier bag. I would have filled that up the way I was going, slashing like a horse, as they say in the microphone.
Just fill the hot water bottle up. Kills two birds with one stone.
Oh, dear. What I should do is stop drinking cups of stuff before I go to bloody bed. That might help.
Cups of tea.
Oh, and then
I'm going to have a nice cup of tea now. That's exactly what I'm going to do.
And then the bloke come round to put the door in. I said, be here about 10:30. Give me a ring an hour before you get here. He went, all right, no problem. 9:30. I'm outside. I said, no, this isn't how it works. This isn't. You've done it wrong. You've got it the wrong way round. I said, so Sean's had to come over and let him in.
You're using podcast funds for a new door, Danny?
We're minus 400 quid at the moment, John.
It's awful. I'm waiting for me new T-shirt. Nothing. Got nothing. You've got a new door.
A door was 1,700 quid. Your taxes paid for that. Thank you very much. It's meant to be a level threshold one. Is it fuck? You've got a ramp to get up it, hold in the middle, and then where the blocks start on the outside, there's another gap like that. I could sue them, then I can buy all the bleeding pigeons I want.
Can't we raffle a pair of club levels, Dan? Try and get you a few quid back on that for the thingy.
Oh no, we'll get the money back. The wonderful listeners keep chucking money out. But but Jason got a new computer. But the only reason, like Jason said, if I didn't do these shows, I wouldn't need a computer. But it got to the point his computer was so bad, he was going, it.
Oh yeah, it was like wind up radio, wasn't it?
I thought you had a stutter. I thought you developed a stutter or something. A stammer, whatever they call it.
Can't make jokes about Tourette's or stammers anymore.
No, of course not. No, I'm not making no jokes, mate. I've got me. That's the
interview. I thought of a way around this. I was going to tweet the comedian who did it and said you're not allowed to take the piss out of people with disabilities. I'm going to send him a tweet saying, well, I have one. I give you full permission to take the piss out of fat people, bald people, beardy people, people of Irish heritage, and people with a disability. And if anyone says you can't do it, you tell them I told you can. Now go fucking rock out and cock out, son.
Where did that come from?
I don't know, Geoff said I'm feeling impervious. I don't know what that means. I think it means you can't see through.
That is not what impervious means, Danny.
Right. This time, Geoff, I'm really going to end it. Have you got any wise words for the listeners who stayed on for 5 minutes of extras, Geoff?
No, the people stay on and hear all this nonsense today?
I'm not sure if they know. We only did it once last week. I'm not sure they know it's here. Probably when I said thank you much and good night, they've turned their podcast off. So those lucky few that are half asleep.
Listen, no matter what happens at the Arsenal this season, they've got to keep their pecker up and keep going and cheer the boys on. That's what you got to do. And no fucking protests. Go on, that'll do me.
After that, Johnny boy.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. Best way to end it.
Jolly good. Sean, have you got anything interesting to say? Are you looking for? Come and tell people if you. Sean's coming to a game with me, people. Aston Villa.
Wait, Dan, is Sean going to bring some of her friends that she keeps taking pictures of on Instagram?
John says, "Can you bring Evie with her?" Because John likes Evie.
Everyone likes Evie.
Is that her name? I don't know. There was a couple of them. It weren't just her.
Yeah. So, are you excited to go to your first game since you were about 8?
Yeah. Can't wait.
Are you looking forward to
prepared to meet all the ABW fans, and she's going to have to do autographs? You know, people are going to ask for Sean's autograph, don't you?
There's going to be literally nearly one asking for an autograph, and that's just going to be Stefan Selby as he meets me at Pinebury Corner.
Stefan, if you meet Danny, you got to ask for Sean's autograph and not Danny's. Don't get his.
Don't ask my autograph. I tell you to jog on. You're bum with it come the nuclear apocalypse. Right, Sean, say thank you very much to the listeners, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks. Bye.
Now just put some effort into it, you tit.
I'm tired. I've been sleeping.
Oh, I'm a student. Fucking get a life. I'm pressing stop. Goodbye. End broadcast.
As soon as I scored that goal, I was fucking livid. Splendid business.